Good?
Yeah, I'm just excited about this one.
Cool. Welcome to the latest Watercolors Aquarium Gallery video brought to you from the Aquarium Rush Studios in downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan. Today we're doing a species profile on a staple in the hobby in saltwater, the Scopas Tang.
Yeah, that one's, I was kind of annoyed because I was like, what's the scientific name of the Scopas Tang?
Zebrasoma scopus.
I was like, really?
This has got to be like the most unappreciated tang out there. The most underrated for sure.
Yeah, the one that really blows my mind is that like I can at least once a month I have someone come in and they go, "Is that a gem tang?" No, that's a Scopas tang. Oh. And I'm like,
You thought it was a gem tang.
Well, then it's brown.
I'm like, okay.
It is definitely one of those fish that when you see it in a shop, even in our shop where I like to think our fish look better than most, it doesn't shine. Give it a month or so in a reef tank and the pattern on that tank
Deepens.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's a gorgeous fish.
It's one of those fish that like no two really look exactly the same when we get them in.
Yeah.
The pattern, the coloration, it's all sort of slightly subtly different. And I think it all really turns out to be a beautiful fish.
They also change, the patterns apparently also change throughout their life. And
Oh,
those
cool.
patterns are, fun fact, not tied to populations, they're individualistic.
Oh, that's cool.
So, Ben, if you were asked what the wild range of Scopas tangs is, what would you say?
I would assume pretty much what we would refer to as the Coral Sea. The tropical Pacific, not including Hawaii, possibly extending into the Indian Ocean.
Okay. That's pretty standard for what is considered, like what we now define as Scopas tang is defined as their range. So I read a paper this morning, and I had to read it 3 times because I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a mess. So the first thing they basically established in their paper was they were trying to distinguish genetically yellow tangs from Scopas tangs. And their first result was that Indian Ocean Scopas tangs are not closely related to those two. To the point where they said, we don't want to talk about it because the rest of this is complicated enough.
So they were implying that the Indian Ocean population is probably a different species?
Not probably, definitely. As in, it's not even closely related.
Interesting.
Wow.
So yellow tangs and Pacific Ocean Scopas tangs are considered sister species,
Okay,
genetically.
right.
The
Meaning
Indian Ocean Scopas tang, not even in that grouping.
different thing.
Different clade entirely.
So when they're saying sister species, are they saying it's really the same species, they just look different? Or they're saying they're just two species that split recently and are therefore very closely related?
That. But
Okay.
what's really fun about it is that there's debate on how you distinguish populations, or are these differences due to population differences?
Okay.
Or are these differences due to species differences?
Fascinating.
So Scopas tangs and yellow tangs really run that, like, because we have distinguishing features or distances in relation that we go, that's definitely a different species. That's definitely the same species. And then there's this gray area that Scopas and yellow tangs are, mitochondrially identical.
Really?
Nuclear DNA, almost indistinguishable. They had to go out 3 standard deviations to find differences.
Right.
And they had to go specifically to protein coding sequences, which means that they were probably, and this is why I had to read the paper 3 times, because this is a little bit further than like my expertise or understanding into this, but they had to go into protein coding sequences, which is indicative of probably population, like isolated populations, adaptations to that island.
Oh, interesting.
And so
Yeah.
they're like, so their consensus at the end of the paper were, are they different species?
That's definitely
Science
one
is
of the
hard.
challenges in taxonomy. When you've got populations that have been isolated for a while, they're going to go through some changes where morphologically it's not even noticeable. Or sometimes they're going to go through some changes that are morphologically different, but it's really just a different color variation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this case, it was, they all diverged really recently, and they're like, well, they're adapting to specific islands, and that's as far as we can say.
That's pretty cool.
That's some cool
Yeah,
stuff.
that's very cool. So how do we take care of them?
Like you would a yellow tang.
Pretty much sums it up.
Similar size,
yeah.
roughly 8 inches. We've never seen one that got bigger than that.
5 or 6 is, I think, what you count on. Yeah, which I'm fine with those going into a 75 gallon minimum. Nothing smaller than 75 gallons for those.
And in this case, for me, the criteria, I don't want to speak for you. The 4 feet is minimum. That's what's important there.
Yeah, but a 55 is a 4-foot tank.
Yeah.
I think you're pushing it to put one of those guys in.
Yeah, but it's only like 12 inches wide. That's like for a 6-inch fish.
Yeah.
Like,
For 6-inch fish that cruises.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are super active, super personable. These guys are algae eating machines.
Yes.
Feed them as much algae as they will take, but they'll also pick through hair algae. They'll pick through, I've seen them eat bubble algae.
Every once in a while,
Definitely
get one that
macro
does.
algae,
Yes.
as much as they can take, they will eat.
Yeah.
Ravenous fish and pretty fun to watch go about their business.
A good hardy fish.
Mm-hmm.
They will eat mysis shrimp, and it's not bad for them as long as they are also getting vegetable matter in their diet. Formula 2 from Ocean Nutrition or the Dainichi Reef Veggie, fantastic way to get vegetables in their diet. Or like Amy said, give them some algae sheets, they'll love it.
Yeah, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we can understand the beauty of them too. The deep color, the pattern. People are always looking to pump more color into their reef tanks, and to me, I can get as much color as I want on corals. I just want something that's really going to be striking. And the contrast of a dark fish against that really bright backdrop is striking.
It's a very cool fish.
For me, the appeal of Scopas tangs is that because of their color is very individualistic, they're very easy to tell apart.
All right.
You put 2 yellow tangs in front of me and then do the like switch them around,
Yeah.
I probably won't know.
You'll tell them apart for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Charles. I appreciate that little look into the genetics or confusing genetics of a Scopas Tang.
I'll definitely make sure Amy ends up with that paper so that like the paper's in the description or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be an interesting read.
Right.
Well, thanks for humoring me on this one, guys. This is one of my favorite tags.
Cool. Yep. I like it.
So be sure to subscribe to see more videos like this. What species should we talk about next? Give us a like. Give us a like on Facebook, Instagram, and check out the Watercolors Aquarium Gallery podcast.
Thank you so much for watching. Let's have lots of fun and keep those hands wet.